Hi guys, MrRoflWaffles here. This is a list of 20 tips that are going to make you a rich man or woman in Black Ops 7 Zombies, ranging from ways to get more ray gun drops and Pack-a-Punch crystal drops and points and salvage and everything drops in your game, all the way through to getting infinite double points enabled in your game so you can earn over 150k points in standard mode, not in cursed, in only 5 to 10 rounds. It's unbelievable how this stuff all stacks together, so without further ado, let's begin. And we'll also throw some other miscellaneous tips in there as well. First, did you know that your permanent unlocks from Black Ops 6 zombies carry over to Black Ops 7? So if in Black Ops 6, you used a permanent unlock token on something like Ether Shroud, which is unlocked fairly late in the leveling, you'll actually have that all the way from level 1 in BO7. Next, you've probably seen these purple pods all over Ashes of the Damned, and there's two different ways to destroy these. One is with the Abomination beam on the front of Tessie, and the other is with the Wunderwaffe turret that you get going through the Easter egg. And the first time you actually do this, you might get 1,000 points, or you might get 500 salvage, or something like that. But let me just show you why it's essential that you keep spamming and opening these every single opportunity you can in your game. Here's a clip of me getting 2 ray guns from 1 purple pod in 1 game. Like, actually unreal RNG. And here's a clip of me getting 2 tier 2 Pack-a-Punch crystals. Like, these things are just bonkers. It's a similar deal to the toxic growth strat at the start of your game. Using these plants is essential for progressing your game quickly if you want to do the Easter egg at low rounds. Next, have you seen this perk power-up drop in Black Ops 7 Zombies? They've changed the way the drop system works in this game to make these incredibly rare, but they are there, and they can drop anytime after you buy 4 perks, so satisfying the same criteria that would spawn in the Wonder Fizz before round 25. I've only had 1 of these drop my entire time on the game so far, so they're crazy rare, but they do exist. Next, if you want to quickly take out Xerxa's beehives, the combat axe is really fantastic for this, and this will then leave the Xerxa's crit spot open much quicker, which you can then start laying damage into. Next, ammo boxes can be really bad for your points economy in this game because it's really expensive to buy ammo for high rarity weapons. Like, if it's already at PaP tier 3, you're going to be spending an arm and a leg just to get fresh ammo. But if you have a wall weapon, you can get around this, and all you need to do is go back to where you bought the weapon and you can buy ammo there from the wall buy, and it will be cheaper, just like the good old days of Zombies before they then got rid of that feature. It just so happens it's back in Black Ops 7. Next, this is a personal vendetta of mine against Wisp T. I hate that perk with a vengeance, but there's a reason for it, and it's that there's a specific augment that is incredibly annoying. The Fox augment sounds good on paper because it will revive you if you go down and the Wisp is active. The issue, though, is that if you're using something like Equivalent Exchange, you want to be revived by shooting a zombie so you can keep all of your perks. But if the Fox revives you, you will lose all of those perks you would have otherwise been able to keep, and there's no way to interrupt or prevent this. So because of the lack of control that you have when you're using this augment, I would seriously suggest you just turn it off and use something else. It's one of those scenarios where the game is giving you an option to let the game make choices for you, like some kind of AI companion. But the problem is that, as we all know, AI companions suck, bro. Like, they're just trash. And GPT over here is no exception. Next, a fun fact for you. Did you know that you get insta-revived when a round ends, even in solo? This is something that we've seen a bit in Zombies before, but it's not been a feature recently. And nowadays, it's something that you might be able to use tactically to avoid having to use a self-revive or an equivalent exchange. For example, if the last zombie in the round just downed you, and you're feeling real embarrassed, then you could just get revenge, take that zombie out while you're downed, and you'll get stood back up because then the round will flip. Next, this is a tip that is also going to be part of one of my broader top 10 Pack-a-Punch guns videos. I want to introduce you to a new friend of yours who you're going to become very close with over the course of your Black Ops 7 journey. It's the SK. Now, initially, it seems like it's just any other weapon. We're going to put it to tier 3 Pack-a-Punch, and we're going to put it to legendary rarity. Then we're going to add the Deadshot Daiquiri augment that deals double crit damage. We're going to use the double tap augment that does double or nothing, and that means that you get more damage most of the time, and then you just lose bullets some of the time. And as you can see in the clips here, I'm hitting for 150k damage on zombies and even Xerxa. And even regularly without the double or nothing, it can hit for 75k, which kills Xerxa in like 3 shots to the crit spot. It's busted. So give this a try, and if you want me to do a walkthrough where I do a run with this and I live comment, then let me know in the comments down below. Next, something to just avoid a little frustration in your game, I'd be careful to not instantly dive into your TED trial and start trying to complete it the second you've held square on the machine, because there's a little ticking countdown timer that leads you in to the trial itself, and you don't want to waste a load of equipment or something like that before the trials actually started, because it won't count your kills. Next, this is one of the best augments in the game, and I'm mentioning it here because I think it's something that you should prioritize unlocking and researching in your game. Its name is Guns Up for Stamina Up, and it looks a little janky with the ray gun. I hope they fix that, but it's incredible for meaning that you no longer have to drop your gun to start sprinting and then pull your gun back up in order to start shooting. You can just do both at the same time. It works like gung-ho, and especially for things like the boss fight, where sometimes you need to be taking out zombies in front of you while you're sprinting away from rockets, it's incredibly clutch. Next, there's a vending machine in the spawn, just like there was in Liberty Falls, and if you melee it every round, there's a chance for you to get some crazy rewards like Pack-a-Punch crystals. But what a lot of people miss is that there's actually 2 of these things. There's also another one at the diner. It's just to the side of the garage here, and so once you start moving around the map to do the Easter egg, for example, you should be remembering to try to hit this regularly to see if you might get a free ray gun or just some free PaP crystals. Next, the Treasure Hunter augment on Death Perception is really strong. It gives you better loot from chests, and in this game, there's a decent number of chests actually, because you've got your TED trials, but you then also have reward crates from some of the side Easter eggs in this map. And it's the sort of thing that if you really, really wanted to, and you were playing a solo match, you could always have this on for the majority of you solving the Easter egg, and then before boss fight, you could save quit and switch off to something else if you were so inclined. But it's a fantastic option for most playthroughs, and I highly recommend. Next, I've got 2 recommendations for the boss fight of Ashes, which will depend on your playstyle and your preferences, but I'm going to give you both options so you can evaluate. When you're selecting your Juggernog augments to use, you really, in my opinion, have 2 main contenders for the major augment slot. One is Iron Core, the new augment that increases your health when your armor is broken, and the other is Probiotic, which just increases your health all the time, but slightly less than Iron Core does when your armor's broken. Now, before the nerfs to the boss fight, if you were using Probiotic, it would prevent you from taking weird surprise downs when Tessie blew up when you were getting rocketed, because you'd always have that extra little bit of health pool. Whereas with Iron Core, if you had armor, you'd actually take more damage to your health bar when you got rocketed, and that would cause you to go down, so it was very risky. Thankfully now, the fight has been changed and the threat is much less present, and so I'd say if you're finding that you're constantly out of armor in the fight, like 24/7, then yes, you should be thinking about using Iron Core, but if you're decent at maintaining your armor plate economy and you're killing those heavy zombies to replenish it regularly, then I think Probiotic is actually the best pick here. Next, we've talked about Hunter drones being really good against Xursa and other specials and elites, but I still see some people using them wrong because they assume that it works like a little sort of javelin that you throw at a zombie and it impales it and kills it, but they do not work that way. Instead, you're going to want to throw them into the air so they can hover around in the air, and then eventually when a bear spawns in, they will target the bear, zoom down, explode on it, and deal a ton of damage. And it's cool because you can leave them floating there for multiple rounds and queue them up essentially, sort of like how people used to queue claymores up and even bouncing Bettys up way back in the day. That said, you are limited to how many you can throw. Next, the new Death Perception major augment called Sixth Sense lets you see enemies behind you, which sounds really wild, but it's actually quite nice if you're sprinting backwards and making use of Omni movement in Black Ops 7, because I'll quite frequently be trying to shoot those zombies, especially with gung-ho, while backpedaling, and knowing if there's stuff behind me is just helpful for me doing that. The nice thing also is it adds protection from the back, and so this is one of those augments that once you unlock it, I'd pretty much recommend having it on 90% of the time just for the extra damage mitigation. Next, if you've been playing a lot of Cursed, here's a points farming strategy that is going to blow your mind. What you're going to do is you're going to open up the map to Ashwood, and then open up Klaus's little jail cell room, and you'll find the Akita on the wall in there. This is a pellet shotgun, and it gives you 10 points per pellet hit on an enemy. So I've been able to get like 10,000 points in a single round easily using this thing. And if you're using it smartly on zombies that aren't just going to insta-die as well, like maybe you've got it a little bit under-leveled, and you're also using it in conjunction with things like double points, you are going to be rich very fast. Next, this is more of a PSA for the zombies community than anything else. There's a lot of people that still think you need to have melee macchiato to open the cash register during the diner Easter egg step in Ashes. But this is not the case. You can actually just run over to the cash register, and so long as you melee the actual drawer of the register that opens, and you do it a couple of times, it will pop open regardless of whether or not you have melee macchiato. Next, if you're running out of ether shrouds constantly and you're frustrated because maybe you need to revive your teammates, but you don't want to goon and use gobblegums, you might find this next tip pretty handy. So if you look at your marksman rifles or your assault rifles in Black Ops 7, many of them have a cloak attachment, which is basically a smoke grenade. And this thing is bonkers for getting revives because you won't get targeted in the smoke, and the smoke itself is a little bit less fiddly compared to some of the ones that we've seen in previous COD games. You can also use this to repair Tessie in the boss fight if she gets injured, or outside the boss fight in the fog. It's definitely worth a go. I highly recommend. Next, let's deep dive into that free infinite double points. This is incredible if you're trying to get completely minted by the early rounds of your game, honestly, but it does take some smart strategization in order to execute effectively, and so I'm going to help you with that now. So to kick this off, I really recommend getting PaP 3 on your knife, or just getting it as far upgraded as possible. And that includes putting Napalm Burst on the knife with the Big Game Augment. You're also going to want the Espresso Augment to melee faster on Melee Macchiato, and you're going to want to have the Melee Macchiato perk when you start all of this off. You're also going to want the Frenzied Guard Augment extension, and you'll want tier 3 armor. And you're also going to need Death Perception, because otherwise this Easter egg is not going to be visible. To kick the Easter egg off, you're going to look on the various paths around the map for bear footprints. As you can see, I'm finding some here in my game. And you're then going to stand on the footprints and run between the pairs of footprints until you reach a final footprint that looks like it kills you. Then spawn in and you'll be facing the bear, which a lot of people are already familiar with, but the first thing you need to do is juke the bear out and pick up your weapons. However, a few things to note here. Your perks are not going to be displayed on the HUD, but they're still going to be active, don't worry. Second, you do not want to start shooting the bear immediately. You are going to be only using your knife for this. And interestingly, in my testing, when I used Ether Shroud with the Void Knife Augment, it actually broke this and the Easter egg didn't work properly. And also it wasn't as effective as what I'm about to say, because the bear actually ran away from me when I was doing that, so I could barely hit him and it was just annoying. So instead, pop a Frenzied Guard and focus the bear's crit spots only using your knife. Now be careful, because the bear's going to do a ton of damage even with this Frenzied Guard stuff going on. So I'd also recommend going in with Dying Wish on Quick Revive, because that's just going to give you another lease on life as you do this. And also ensuring that you've got Jug, and obviously having Quick Revive is important too, so you heal faster and stuff like that. And all of that is going to help ensure that you don't get clapped. If you do this successfully and you don't do it on too high a round or anything, you should kill the bear fairly quickly, actually, and you'll get a free double points talisman that will last for the rest of the game, and it stacks with double points, the drop, for quadruple points. So I ended up getting 150,000 points in less than 10 rounds. It's absolutely bonkers, and the only catch is that it is melee only double points, so you won't get it for regular gun headshots or something. Still, this is so bonkers that especially for people that are going for the gold armor in cursed mode, for example, that costs 45,000 points, and they're also going for things like tier 4 Pack-a-Punch, this is going to be a really nice way to earn those points very, very effectively. Next, did you know you can keep returning to the Wisp girls in the farm area after you've done the ghost side Easter egg, and you can just keep getting armor plates and points and salvage and all sorts of stuff from them. So keep an eye out and they'll give you some free stuff every time you see them. Next, this one's a classic, but you can melee the perk machines in Black Ops 7 Zombies while you're holding square to drink the perk, and it will cancel the perk drinking animation, meaning that your player's hands are freed up a bit faster to focus on the important things like shooting a bear in the face or something like that. Next, if you are on the camo grind, this is for you. You might be concerned to hear that they've they've patched the Ashes of the Damned boss fight to take the bears out, because that was another source of bear kills that you could get. But thankfully, I've got pretty much infinite bears for you here. So the way this is going to work is once you get your first bear spawn on round 16 as normal, you can then go and run around in the fog between the different POIs in Ashes, and after about 90 seconds or so, you're going to see another bear is going to spawn in. This bear is going to have blue eyes because it's basically a fog bear, but these fog bears do count towards getting your elite kills for your camo challenges. And the good news is once you take it out, another bear will spawn almost instantly, and this means that you can farm them really, really straightforwardly in your game. So give this a try to power through a lot of those Doomsteel camo challenges. So now you've learned all of these tips, you could either check out some of my other tips videos on my channel, or it might be time for you to start getting your first relics from Cursed mode. These can be unlocked once you've done the main quest Easter egg once, and I've got guides on my channel for how exactly to get those relics for yourself, and they're linked on screen right now, so click through to those, or just click through to the main quest Easter egg guide if you haven't done that yet, and I'll see you there.